Een van de nieuwe namen die Festival Schietmacher presenteert is Naishi Wang. Een opkomend talent dat geboren is in China en nu werkt vanuit Canada, vanuit Toronto. Naishi Wang die komt met een mannenduet na Schietmacher Face to Face en dat danst hij samen met Lucas Molkowski. En dat gaat over alle kanten van virtuele en fysieke communicatie. Alle mogelijkheden die daardoor ontstaan, maar ook misverstanden die daardoor ontstaan. Naishi Wang is geboren in China en opgeleid daar in gevechtssport, in martial arts en in Chinese klassieke dans en volkdans. En in 2004 verhuisde hij naar Canada om daar verder opgeleid te worden aan de School of Toronto Dance Theatre. Hij maakte jarenlang deel uit van een dansgezelschap in Toronto tot hij in 2015 besloot eigen werk te gaan creëren. En dat doet hij heel vaak in samenwerking met andere artiesten. Hij heeft bijvoorbeeld ook werk gemaakt samen met de danstheaterartiest Christopher Winkler. En ik noem even een paar titels. Can Asian Dance en Tale of the Dragon and the Lion. Nu komt hij dus naar Schietmacher met dat mannenduet Face to Face. En daarin onderzoekt hij met Lucas alle mogelijkheden van fysieke en virtuele communicatie. En dat gaat heel erg ver. Dat gaat zowel van dat ze soms allebei twee slappe poppen lijken. Soms springen en veren hun lichamen de lucht in. En dan lijken ze weer elastieke benen te hebben. Of ze trillen en ze schokken. Maar met iedere beweging, iedere uitdrukking van hun gezicht communiceren ze iets. En dat verwijst naar dat ook als wij face-to-face communiceren, elkaar soms al niet zo goed begrijpen. Laat staan als we appen of communiceren via emojis, dan ontstaan ook heel vaak misverstanden. En al dat onderzoek hebben ze samengebracht in dat duet. We vroegen Naishi Wang naar zijn inspiratiebronnen en naar dat onderzoek dat een grondslag ligt aan face-to-face.
My name is Naishi. Originally, I come from China, but I live in Canada right now. I present a duet work entitled Face to Face. It's originally inspired by emoji, the digital emotions online. In 2019, we created the work. It was before the pandemic. I thought it was a great idea to showcase where the 21st century, like the communication in the 21st century, which is mostly through text message or online email or the digital emotions formed emoji. And through the development of this work, which is like a 2020 and the 2020, the pandemic year, 2021, 2022. So we luckily that we premiered in Toronto, April 2022. And through the development of this process, things are changed. And I was more interested focusing on the distance, how the emotions and actions in communication. And for example, creating images when two bodies very close, but they feel far away from each other. Versus two bodies far away, but they feel so close with each other. And the choreographic work for face-to-face is often driven by this concept. And also the imagery based on the performance, practice, question on how to amplify to create imagery journeys with fiction or abstract emotions in the body. And we had so many questions about how to find intimacy in the online world and how to bring this online concentrated emotions in the real reality, and also create my own kind of body language based on that cliche. And for example, we looked online video like TikTok videos, which is most reviews shorter than 10 seconds. or like 15 seconds videos, and we try to look at those videos, like the action of sliding down to change, like feeding the algorithm keep feeding you kind of similar videos, and we use this in the real reality, but it wouldn't really work. But as a theater and contemporary scene, that we try to make it work, which is like trying to create like a TikTok contents, like we make TikTok contents in the real dancing reality. So we try to make this work. I don't think like 10 seconds or 15 seconds can explain the real emotion with like, receiving the news to some certain extension, and then to, showcase on the facial expression, because, in the real reality is so complex. We can't really, like it really doesn't work. We can only define happy, then there's only one emotion, because the real reality is mixed with other emotions.
And is there also a difference between the body language and the ambiguity of body language in the East, in more or less where you come from, than in Toronto in Canada, where you're working now? Is there a difference in how we read body language?
I would say like where I came from was like really a dense, like concentrated population, and therefore there are a lot of more layers of complexity when you enter, for example, the subway, when you like go into a dance studio with like a lot of students, or like lots of dancers, versus here in Toronto is more like, I would say, in a little bit like quieter, and there's not so many people interacting with you and on the daily basis, compared to where I grew up in the East, in Chinese environment.
And your language is based on different dance styles, like you classical Chinese dance, but also martial arts. Can you explain the combination of different dance styles you are using?
In face-to-face, I make kind of my own language. The language come from my trainings. I was trained in martial arts, a form called wushu, like like a bagua. It's like circular thing, like with the martial arts. It's
Can
kind
you
of
do
Chinese.
it? How did you do it? Like
yeah, it's kind of like a circling around, like with the shapes, like it's kind of I don't know, fighting in circular way. Yeah, it's like that. I mean, I'm not really a master, because I dropped off like after 3 years of training. I switched to ballet, because my border, my hometown border, is very close to Russia, North Korea, and Mongolia. So it's they train like my time. They train like they invite the teachers from Russia, like folk dance. Ballet is kind of like their folk dance, and then the Mongolian dance and the North Korean dance. In my border, I learned all that together for 6 years before I come to Toronto, learn like a contemporary dance. Yeah, before I came to Toronto, I was like 16 years old. I already had like a 6 years of training, and also like 3 years of training with martial arts, and then before coming to contemporary arts in the West. I think the language is about the emotion, and then I was questioning how the emotion is concentrated in the body, that the body is not like the body moving, is like the up and downs of the emotion, and like with the complexity of like anger or sadness and a little bit happy, and on that like embodiment to really embodiment of the movements. That's
And you choose a male dancer to dance with, Lukas Malkowski. Why did you choose a male dancer? So there are two men on stage.
Yeah, I think it's not like I choose a male dancer, or I didn't see like any gender. I feel like Lukas Malkowski we worked together for so many years in the past, and I feel like he was like me, living in this solitude environment, because his dad is deaf, and then he in his young he learned the American Sign Language as his yeah, sorry, I don't really know American Sign Language, but his language is American Sign Language based on like reading people's facial cue and movement cue to communicate. And I feel it's kind of similar path, because I feel like I'm also like in this path of like Chinese, Mandarin, or English, French, German, and what it is. I'm trying to also define the language itself, and that's why we clicked quite a while. And then working with him, also he's like a little bit younger than me. He knows a lot of, he's on TikTok, he follows like a Kanye West, the concerts. It's good to get inspired by like this ongoing population of what's the young people watching right now.
And you use this also in the performance?
We try to not really use obvious sign language and also obvious obvious language. We try to make our own language, and also we tried like in the first process of face-to-face in 2019, we used spoken word. But for my opinion, it wasn't really strong because there's so many people using the same method. And I try to, in the end, we agree to use pop songs in our childhood pop song, like, really old songs that we know, that we combined all the songs together as a mashup that amplified. This is we come from different kind of channel, but we're still able to communicate. So that's the thing that I was also looking for, to kind of erase this language culture, just to come back to the fundamental, how can we use our observation to be with each other, and not in a way that we understand each other in order to the top of the communication is not about that. The top of the communication is like how we sense each other, and the cues that we read with something like a non-able to describe.
And is there also a hidden message in face-to-face?
Of course, there's a hidden message for myself. Because my dual subculture, and of course with the censorship, with what's going on, of course that I have a message, but again, that is not really clear. And I also wish my audience can use this opportunity to think about abstractions rather than like a clear message.
That's the exciting of a dance performance, that you can read everything between the lines. That's not so clear. Okay, thank you, Naishi, for your explanation, and we're looking forward to see face-to-face in Schietmacher.
Thank you so much.